The Lavochkin La-5 Series 8 was a Soviet fighter aircraft that played a crucial role in World War II. The aircraft was developed by the Lavochkin Design Bureau, which was headed by Semyon Lavochkin. The La-5 Series 8 was a refinement of the earlier Lag-3 fighter and was designed to counter the German Messerschmitt Bf 109 and Focke-Wulf 190. The La-5 Series 8 was a single-seat aircraft with a maximum speed of 592 km per hour at altitude. It had a range of 870 kilometers and a service ceiling of 9,800 meters. The aircraft was powered by a Shvetsov Ash-82 1700 HP or 82F radial engine that provided 1,850 horsepower. The engine was liquid-cooled and had a two-stage supercharger, which gave the La-5 Series 8 excellent performance at high altitude. In an effort to retain parity with the Bf-109G and Fw-190A, Lavochkin improved the reliability and performance of the Shvetsov engine, initially with the introduction of the M82F, which gave the resulting La-5F better performance at lower altitudes thanks to its unlimited boost. The La-5 Series 8 was armed with two 20mm Shvak cannons. The cannons was mounted in the engine cowling and fired through the propeller hub. The La-5 Series 8 also had the ability to carry up to 6-82 rupees or -132 rupees rockets, which gave the aircraft additional firepower. The La-5 Series 8 had a wingspan of 9.8 meters and a length of 8.6 meters. It had a weight of 2,670 kilograms and a wing loading of 145 kilograms per square meter. The aircraft's design was optimized for high-altitude combat, with a high aspect ratio wing and a powerful engine that allowed it to perform well at high altitude. The La-5 Series 8 entered service in 1942 and quickly proved to be a formidable opponent to the German fighters. The aircraft's performance was well suited for high-altitude combat, and it was able to outperform the Bf 109 in most areas. The La-5 Series 8 was particularly effective against the Focke-Wulf Fw 190, which was a potent opponent for most Soviet fighters. The La-5 Series 8 was flown by some of the Soviet Union's most successful fighter pilots, including Ivan Kozhedov, who scored 62 victories while flying the La-5 and its successor, the La-7. The aircraft was also used extensively in ground attack missions, where its ability to carry rockets and its cannon made it a highly effective weapon against enemy ground targets. In total, over 9,900 La-5 aircraft were produced during the war, with the Series 8 being the most numerous variant. The La-5 was eventually replaced by the more advanced La-7, which had a more powerful engine and improved armament. However, the La-5 Series 8 remains an important aircraft in the history of Soviet aviation and is remembered for its role in the Soviet victory over Germany in World War II. The La-5 Series 8 fuselage was constructed using a combination of materials, primarily wood and metal. The wooden structure of the fuselage was made of a combination of spruce and birch plywood, which was then covered in fabric. The fuselage was constructed in a semi-monocoque design, which means that the load was carried by both the skin of the aircraft and the internal structure. This design allowed for a strong, lightweight structure that was able to withstand the stresses of combat. The internal structure of the fuselage was made up of longitudinal members, known as longerons, and transverse members, known as bulkheads. The longerons were made of spruce, while the bulkheads were made of plywood. The internal structure was then covered in plywood skin, which was attached to the longerons and bulkheads using a combination of glue and screws. The engine was mounted on a steel tube framework, which was attached to the fuselage using metal brackets. The cowling that covered the engine was also made of plywood, which was shaped to fit the contours of the engine and attached to the fuselage using metal fasteners. The cockpit of the La-5 Series 8 was located in the forward section of the fuselage, just behind the engine. The cockpit was covered with a sliding canopy, which provided the pilot with an unobstructed view of the surrounding area. The canopy was made of plexiglass, which was attached to a metal frame. Overall, the La-5 Series 8 fuselage was a complex and carefully designed structure, with a combination of wooden and metal components that worked together to create a strong, lightweight, and aerodynamic aircraft. The use of wood and fabric for the outer skin of the aircraft was a common feature of Soviet aircraft design during World War II, and helped to make the La-5 Series 8 a highly maneuverable and effective fighter plane.